This is Bert Peters with Informatica University. This recording is intended as a supplement to Module 3, Lab 3 on troubleshooting. It assumes you already have a familiarity with lab and you've already gone through the lab. So we'll start off at the point where the model has been created, the resource has been created, and we're ready to add the linking rules to the resource. So we'll right-click the resource and select Edit Resource. And then we'll select the Linking Rules tab and click Upload. Choose File, and we'll navigate to C, Users, Administrator, MMBG Templates, ETL, and select Ruleset Source.xml. Click OK, and click OK. Notice we got an error. It said failed to create the rule set. The rule set does not involve linking to this resource. Within the rule set, there's a source resource and a target resource. At least one of those two resources has to be the resource that we're currently editing. Well, as you can see, we're currently editing a resource called ETL script load. Let's take a look at the file. Right-click the file and edit using Notepad++. And if we take a look at this file, we see our source resource is products and our target resource is ETL script load. However, everything in this file is case sensitive. You'll notice that ETL script load is all in uppercase, but the name of our resource is ETL script load in lowercase. So we need to either drop and recreate the resource and spell it in uppercase, or we need to change the file. It's easier to change the file, like so. And then we'll save it, and we'll try uploading it again. So back in the GUI, click OK. Click Upload, choose the file, Ruleset Source, Open, and OK. This time it uploaded, but notice the valid flag is false. Let's take another look at the file. The source resource is products, but in all lowercase. But if we look at our actual products resource, we can see it over there on the far right. It's spelled with an uppercase P. So again, we have an issue with case sensitivity. And we'll save that. Also note all of these class names are case sensitive. Let's go back to the GUI and take a look at our model. Cancel that. Go to the model page and expand Custom ETL. Notice that the source table class has been spelled in lowercase. But in the rule-based linking file, it's been spelled in uppercase. As a general rule, when troubleshooting this lab, it is not a good idea to modify the model unless you absolutely have no other choice. So let's avoid modifying the model, and we'll modify the file instead, even though the lab instructions said to name this in title case. It's too late now to go back and modify the model, so we're going to modify the file here to accommodate. And then save. Back in the GUI, let's go back to the load page. Right-click ETL script load and edit resource. Go to linking rules. This one that we previously uploaded that validated to false, let's delete it and then upload again choose File, Ruleset Source, Open, OK. And now the valid is true. Now let's upload the other Ruleset file. Upload, choose File, Ruleset target.xml, Open, OK. And we have another error message. It says Ruleset already exists. That Ruleset name is referring to the file that we uploaded previously. To get around this problem, click OK. Down at the bottom, click OK again. And then right-click the resource again and click Edit Resource. Go back to Linking Rules, click Upload, choose File, Ruleset target.xml, Open, and click OK. Now we have another error message. Failed to create the rule set using File. The rule set does not involve linking for this resource. This is the same error that we got before, and we're getting it for the same reason. Our resource is called ETL script load in all lowercase. But if we look at the file, this time we'll right-click Ruleset Target and edit with Notepad++. We see, again, it names the resource in uppercase. So even though the students were told to use uppercase in the lab instructions, it's easier at this point to modify the file. Putting that into lowercase. We'll save that. Go back to the GUI and click OK, and then attempt the upload again. Choose File, Ruleset target.xml, Open, and click OK. And now it uploads and it validates to true. And we'll click OK, and we're ready to begin the load. Right-click, Start Load. We can see that the load has failed. So let's right-click the resource and select View Load Details. In the log file, we see Invalid Expression ID. Please see the service log for more details. These invalid expression error messages come from the load template. So let's take a look at the load template file. Right-click Load Template.xml and edit with Notepad++. And we can see right here we have ID specified as the unique identifier for each rule. But the lab instructions told the students to change this to name and this one to parent concatenated with name. The reason for that is that the CSV files do not contain a column called ID. So let's make the change. This should be name for container rule, and then for all the other rules which do not associate with top-level classes, it should be parent concatenated with exclamation mark concatenated with name. So let's copy that and paste it in for the other IDs. So there's source column. There's target table. And there's target column. And now we'll save the load template. Let's go back to the GUI. Close that and attempt to load again. right-click, Start Load. Once again, the load has failed. Let's right-click, View Load Details. And you see we got the same error again, Invalid Expression ID. Well, that's because even though we modified the load template, we did not upload the new load template file. Anytime you modify the load template, you need to do an command update load template in order for the changes to take effect. So let's select that command and copy it, and then right-click and paste it into our command prompt and hit Enter. Now that the load template has been revised, we can try our load again. Right-click, Start Load. Once again, our load has failed. Right-click, View Load Details. This time we have a different error. Invalid Expression Transformation Rule. Let's go back to the load template. We'll go up to the very top and we'll do a search. Find Transformation Rule. And we find it right here as one of the properties underneath the source column rule. This says we're expecting there to be a column in the file called Transformation Rule that will map to this class attribute called Transformation Rule. If we look back in the GUI on the load page and we look at the mapping rules for this resource, we can see that the source column rule was assigned to source column.csv. Let's take a look at source column.csv. Source column.csv has columns name, info label, info description, business name, and parent. It doesn't have a column called transformation rule. So why is that listed in the load template? Well, the load template originated from a default load template, and the default load template is based on the model. Let's go have a look at the model. We'll go to the model page and we'll navigate under Custom ETL to Source Column. Right-click, Open. And we can see Source Column has an attribute called Transformation Rule, hence the default property in the default load template. Why this occurred is because the students had an instruction in the lab to add a transformation rule attribute to target column, not to source column. So this doesn't belong under source column. And the file sourcecolumn.csv doesn't support it. However, as I mentioned earlier, it's a good idea to avoid modifying the model at this point. So we're going to modify the load template file instead. And the load template file, we're simply going to remove that line so we don't look for a column in the file called transformation rule. And we'll save that. And let's do another search for transformation rule to see if there are other occurrences. And we find another occurrence here under target column. Well, under target column there is supposed to be an attribute called transformation rule. However, let's take a close look at the file. So this is target column rule, and in our resource target column rule was assigned to target column.csv. So let's open target column.csv. Here we do have a column called transformation rule. However, notice that it's spelled with a capital T, and everything in the load template is case sensitive. So in the load template, the column name, which is the part that's in black, needs to be changed to a capital T, even though the attribute name is all in lowercase. The students were told to name it with an uppercase T, but if somebody makes a mistake, it's hard to go back and change the model at this point, so instead we'll modify the file and simply say, okay, the attribute name, will accept that it's all lowercase, but it corresponds to a column in the file that has an uppercase T. And we'll save that. And then once again we need to run an mm command update load template in order for our changes to take effect. We'll go back to the Metadata Manager GUI and we'll restart our load. Now the load has succeeded. Let's take a look at the results. We'll go to the Browse page, select the catalog, and click Actions, Refresh. And we see the resource ETL script load. And we'll expand it. And we can see our container and our source tables and our target table. And we'll look at the source columns and the target columns. And we see the objects that we expect to see. Let's take a look at lineage. Right-click Product Sales Load and select Run Lineage. And then we'll do an Expand All. Notice we have lineage from the products database into the source columns, and we have lineage from the target columns to the staging database. What's missing is the lineage between the source columns and the target columns. That lineage is established through the enumerated links.csv file. If we go back to the load page and we select ETL script load and click the enumerated links tab, we see the enumerated links file that we've specified. Let's right-click the resource and view load details. Now at a glance, it looks like everything worked. But let's change the severity level to Warn. And we see there's a problem. Enumerated linking completed with failures. Let's take a look at the enumerated links file. And we see right away what the problem is. Everything in this file is case sensitive. And you see everywhere ETL script load is spelled in all caps. But our resource is named ETL script load in lowercase. So all of those occurrences of ETL script load would need to be changed to lowercase, both on the source path and on the destination path. Notice also that group names are part of the path. For example, source tables. So if a student named their group differently, then a corresponding change would have to be made here, and on all occurrences of that group name within the enumerated links.csv file. As you can see, it is very important that when the students do Module 3 Lab 1, which is when they first create the model, that they pay very close attention to spelling and case sensitivity of all class names and attribute names, as well as paying close attention to case sensitivity of resource names in order to avoid these problems in Module 3, Lab 3. This concludes the session on Troubleshooting, Module 3, Lab 3.